What's up, everybody, and welcome back this week for some Loudthumbs gaming. So this is my Nick's Nitpick comedy in video games. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. You're gonna have to let me know in the comments or email us at loudthumbs@gmail.com because I don't think there's enough funny video games out there anymore, and it saddens me. I mean, I've had plenty of funny video games I've played. I don't think there's enough. I think that's kind of the difference. Yes, I've had plenty, but I want more. And I kind of feel like the world's going in this like kind of realm where they're afraid to like offend people or, something along those lines that just stifles their creativity or their comedy or whatever they're wanting to, really put out into the world and make people genuinely laugh and have a good time. The same thing's happening in movies, which I want to do a Loud Thumbs Playground over there sometime and just talk about movies and old comedies, not full of sound effect or special effects or anything along those lines, but just an actual comedy. And it got me to thinking about the same in video games. And just recently we did a really long live stream. We streamed for like 7 hours over the weekend. And, we played a bunch of old school games and some Mario and everything. But trickled in there was Conker's Bad Fur Day. That game is hilarious. And it hit home again because I try to play through that game about once a year. It has been at least a couple since the last time I've had a chance to, sit down and, fork 20 or 30 hours toward it. But it's edgy. It's very edgy for the times. It's outlandish. It's crazy. It's in the realm of South Park, which is another game I want to talk about. But to stay on Conker for a minute or two here, the game itself is all over the place. I mean, it's a 3D platformer. It's a Super Mario World, more or less kind of a ripoff, but just an adult version of that just doesn't have to make sense, but it's a lot of fun. It's hard. It's definitely not an easy game, especially if you're picking up the N64 version. It doesn't hold up. The camera controls are backwards and things like that. But I want more funny games like Conker, games that don't take themselves seriously. They're meant to just be fun and funny. And I feel like those two things don't come together. I think there's a lot of action games that are out there now as well that, they use humor in a way, but it's not meant to be, a funny game. It's just a couple of moments here or there are funny. Spider-Man comes to mind on that one. There's some funny moments, with Peter and his quips and stuff like that. You'll get a chuckle out of. Grand Theft Auto can be hilarious as well, as immature rated as that game is as well. But the dialogue can be funny, but it's not a comedy. Those are more of a dramatic, serious type of game, and they just don't have that. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Like they just don't have that sparkle or that Just call it a comedy. The video game is a comedy. Now to talk about South Park, I think the South Park games that came out from Ubisoft were the best out there. They were on point to the source material. They're absolutely hysterical. It is like watching a full season of the show. It's like a 40-hour episode that you can put into that kind of a game. And I have to admit to everybody, I'm not a turn-based guy. I don't like turn-based games very much. Tactical games, strategy games. That's not what I play. I like the third person over the shoulder, give me a good first person shooter. I'm good with that as well. And platformers. Those would probably be my top 3. But South Park is a turn-based comedy. That's what it is. It absolutely, in my mind, every time I think of that game and anybody thinks of that show, you should think, well, it's a comedy. It's a funny game. And I love it. It by far surpasses any other game that has tried to do comedy. It nails absolutely every piece of it, and it doesn't hold back, which that kind of gives me this thought as I was thinking about this and, nitpicking it apart. Why aren't there more things out there like South Park that doesn't take itself seriously, is meant to be funny, and you're just supposed to watch it or play it to enjoy it and laugh. There's there's just hardly any. And I want to know if you guys know of some. Maybe I'm missing some as I talk here. I mean, I do have a list of some. So some of the older ones I want to mention real quick: South Park, Conquer, Borderlands, Portal, and Saints Row. Those all, just thinking about this on the fly real quick, they all came to mind super fast. It's like, okay, all of those in some way or another were funny. Now, Saints Row goes along with Grand Theft Auto as far as, the genre and the type of game. But Saints Row was meant to be funny. Let's be honest. I mean, they're running around with giant dildos hitting people, and you're not going to play that and smile and laugh and have, and not smile and laugh and have a good time. You're going to be just hysterically laughing and just not taking it seriously. It's like the not serious Grand Theft Auto. It is very much leaning into the comedy, and it did that more and more as it continued, especially into Saints Row 3 and on. The one and two were a little bit more trying to copy Grand Theft Auto until they realized they had a different option to go down, and we since know that's kind of failed. But again, that goes back to my point. Why wasn't the new one accepted well, other than all the bugs and the terrible things in it? Did it get rid of? I didn't play the Saints Row 4, by the way, but did it get rid of all the comedy, and the shtick that they were going for, or what? Because I didn't play it, and that's really all I think of when I think of Saints Row. Portal, all the dialogue in Portal. I mean, none of the gameplay is funny. None of it really. It's a puzzle game, but everything happening in the world that you're hearing is hysterical. I mean, the reasons why they've done what they've done, and using a potato for a computer, and all the things you hear from GLaDOS, and it's hysterical. And it even ends on like a giant like joke, and they like meme, the cake is a lie and all that kind of stuff. But Borderlands, another one. I mean, it's a first person shooter, so it's a perfect genre for me. And definitely the second one was hysterical. Tiny Tina's, I have played some of. It's actually really funny. It was a good time. They kept, to the gameplay. But all of it, has its own little piece of comedy that it keeps consistent throughout the game. It's not just sprinkled through, it's funny throughout. And I think most of those people would look at it as like, yeah, Borderlands is a great looter shooter FPS, but man, it's hysterical, and like the crap that happens in it's crazy, and the bosses are over the top and not meant to be taken seriously, and it's still a really challenging, fun game. But where are these at now? Because now the newer games I have listed here are like Psychonauts, which is funny, but I wouldn't call it a comedy, but it kind of leans that way. Once again, this goes into my nitpick. They're not really picking their lane. They are making a great platformer that has great dialogue, but some of it is super heartfelt and serious, and then some of it's hysterical and over the top. So, not to say that's a bad thing. Psychonauts was a great game and a really great series, but I wanted to see more of the humor, and it definitely is a game that fits to have that kind of a style, dialogue and overall humor in a game. Guardians of the Galaxy, the game out from Square Enix, also was quite funny. I mean, there were some actual laugh out loud moments, and what better characters to pick from a Marvel property to do than that. And that was a fantastic game. I mean, it was a great, third person action game. And the last one I have down here that's the newest is High on Life, which another first person shooter, absolutely in that realm of South Park. It does not take itself seriously. It was a little bit too childish. South Park does a great job of, keeping the humor childish, yet still has that adult feel where you need to understand something for it to be funny, which I respect more and I find more hilarious because the comedy's, you're trying for it. High on Life didn't really try, it was a lot of, fart jokes and poop jokes and, that kind of stuff, which is still funny, but it's just different. So there are some sprinkled around as far as, comedic video games, comedy video games, but there's just so few of them. And I would love if Matt and Trey, I know they're busy enough over there with South Park, making the show, but if they could go out and tell people like, hey, this is what we do, this is why we do it, this is how we get away with stuff, whatever they can say, because it's it's them. Like, I feel like they nailed it the best. And that could be just because they have the perfect content and they created this thing, 25 roughly years ago, that is absolutely perfect to continue on forever and just be a joke on absolutely anything that's happening in the world, and you don't take it seriously. It's your way to like kind of shut your brain off and laugh at all the things, and otherwise you cry, right? And I need more of that in video games. I want to be able to pick a game that's like a palate cleanser, play it in between something, that I've played that's like super serious or, maybe very difficult. And you just need something that's just a good time, just to clear your head and, hang on to it. So I'm really kind of annoyed. I really wish that, the world wasn't kind of getting more soft, I guess is the word I can think of, the nicest word for it. Because there's just so many people out there that would just take offense to so many of these things. And I feel like it really makes the creators overthink what they should do, when I think that the majority of us out here would like to have something that's hysterical, fun to play, light, just a good time. And the minority of people that are upset or would get upset are kind of taking that away from the majority of us who could enjoy a really good, not take itself seriously sort of video game, or movies again. But I'm ready for it. I mean, the Wario games are hysterical. The way you play. I played recently. I picked up the original, playing it for Game Boy. It's hysterical. I mean, like the things they have you do that makes no sense. I mean, you laugh between mini games, but they're still challenging. They're tough. They're a good time, and it makes zero sense that we're not getting these kinds of silly things coming out of coming out of these studios. That it wouldn't take a lot of work. It would just be simple stuff. I mean, the writing, I guess, would take a lot of work to keep it, topical and, make sense in a video game world. But why take it too seriously when you can just give us some cool gameplay mechanics with ridiculous dialogue involved as you're playing, or, even silly things you do. I'm sad because I'm sure there are more games out there that are funny that just somehow have not passed by my radar, so I have not been able to find them. But I need to know from all of you guys, what are some funny games out there that I didn't talk about that you're playing or have played that you still remember? Like when you think of a funny game, that's the game you think about, and why they're hilarious and why I should play them, because I want them. I want more of them. I don't care if they're new. I don't care if they're old. I just want something that just doesn't take itself seriously and is a good time just to relax with and, laugh, have a good time with. And that's what we all want to do when it comes to video games, especially me, is, have a great time playing and be able to remember it, in the future, and just think back fondly on it and how, fun it was and how funny it was, and, talk to your friends about it and how silly and everything it was. But let me know what games those are. We have a Discord out there, so there'll be links below. Drop a line in the Discord. Come over and join. Completely open, free to join Discord. And loudthumbs@gmail.com. That's a big one as well. Every week we're trying to do some streaming, so follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button so you'll get the notifications. Follow on Twitch over there so you'll know when we go live, and we'll talk some more about this kind of stuff as things go by. But the comedy in video games, it's a sad time. It's not around, needs to be, and I want more of it. So do me a favor, please, please, please let me know those funny video games that you guys have been playing. I want to talk about them. I want to know about them. I want to play them because I haven't played enough, and the world is too serious to stay serious even when I'm playing video games all the time. So that is it for me. I am going to get out of here with this nitpick. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. That's it for now. I will be back, probably in another week or so with another one of these or something else. There's always something to look forward to. But until then, everybody out there, game on, volume up, and stay loud.